Alright guys, we're back home from Nationals. I'm going over my car to get it ready for Watkins Glen. And if you watched my Nationals video, the recap video, not the full race, there's a part in there where I mentioned throwing new pads on this thing before the race. The caliper bolt just felt a little bit funny, and I'll show you what I found out. So what I did was I figured at this point I got a couple days to fix it if it is stripped. So I just put the torque wrench on it, and it was actually like loose. So I did a qualifying race and the actual whole entire championship race with a loose brake caliper. So you can see this hole right here. You can see how literally just like pulled, I don't know if that's too much light or not, pulled the threads right on out. So yeah, so now I get to take it off, HeliCoil it. HeliCoiling it should be good. I'll contact the company and see if I can maybe just get a new one. Not a huge deal. Again, power brake, you know, the brake kit has been awesome. So not quite sure what the issue was here, but you know, I'll kind of update you guys down the road once I kind of figure it out and fix it. Alright guys, our HeliCoil kit showed up. So this is what the box looks like. I got it from McMaster. If you ever need weird hardware and stuff, I've mentioned these guys before. They got just about anything you need. But what's cool about a complete kit is it comes with the exact drill, tap, and tool you need. So first order of business was figuring out, you know, what size bolt went in here originally. That should be pretty easy. I have one of these thread restorer kits, so it was as easy as just kind of figuring out which one. You could always just go to a hardware store. They have those little things with like all the threads and studs, and just find which one fits. Pretty easy. So what we got to do now is drill these out, tap it, and then install the HeliCoil. Believe it or not, I've never done one, but it seems pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So the threads in some of the other holes are a little bit boogered up, so I think I'm just gonna HeliCoil all of them. But it is worth mentioning that the guys from Power Brake just so happened to be watching my Nationals recap video, and they reached out to me saying, hey, you know, we saw that clip where you said you might have issues with your brakes, the bolts being stripped. They wanted to know how I made out with that, and funny enough, before they contacted me, I don't know, the last clip in this video, when I actually took it off and found out that yes, it was stripped, it was only a few hours before they called me. So it's kind of funny how it works out sometimes. So if you remember, this is actually the first kit made for this chassis Mustang. So what they do now is they come from the factory with a insert to prevent this issue. So they're actually just going to ship me out a new set of brackets, you know, with the insert, so I shouldn't ever have this issue again. Problem is, I'm racing in 2-3 days from now up at Watkins Glen, so I kind of need to HeliCoil them. It'll get me through that weekend. So yeah, the guys at Power Brake, if you're watching this, thank you. I really appreciate you kind of reaching out and sending me a new set. But yeah, let's get these HeliCoiled, and we should be good to go. Alright, so here's my setup. I'm using the drill press and the vise to try and keep it as level and square as possible, so that way the hole doesn't get crooked or anything. So time to drill and tap. It's also worth noting that I'm starting on the one that is stripped because I don't think I can make it worse. Once that works out good, I'll then move to the other holes. Alright, so you obviously want to make sure you go in square. So checking squareness that way looks pretty good. Squareness this way looks pretty good. An M12. So this happens to be an M12 by 1.75. It's a big ass tap, so I'm kind of struggling with you know, getting the force I need to do it. So something I need to keep an eye on, since it's not a through hole. I don't know if that'll show up or not. The tap is pretty close to bottoming out. Might be a little hard to see. So I got a couple more turns. It's getting a little bit chipped up, so what I'll probably do is back this out, clean those chips out, and just kind of bottom it out, just to make sure we got, you know, full thread engagement. Alright, so as you can see, nice threads tapped. Now time to do the insert. What I'm going to do is blow out any little chips with the compressed air, just to make sure there's no interference. Alright, so now time to install the HeliCoil onto the tool. And as you can see, that little tab will lock in and allow this to turn. There we go. A little bit of a pain getting started, but now we're going. Alright, we are just below the surface. You don't want any of the HeliCoil sticking out. Back the tool out. Now, very last thing that we need to do is that little tab in the bottom there. We need to just get a chisel in there and knock it out. There's that little tab that we just broke out. There you go. Nice new threads, ready to go. Alright, and here's the bolt that goes through the brake caliper into it. Good thread engagement. Feels good. So yeah, this should be ready to rock. Alright guys, so that was easy enough. Like I said, I never had to do a HeliCoil. You know what they are. I've tapped holes, never had to put the insert in. So yeah, easy enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the threads. It's the same exact process, so you're not going to miss anything. And then just get these back on the car, get the calipers back on, and that's all I'm really doing before we head out to the Glen. Alright, so very last thing I'm going to do is run a thread chaser down the bolts. Last thing you want is some little like chunk of something on the bolt that was causing the threads to get messed up. These look pretty good, and again, this is not a tap, it's a thread chaser. It's just kind of meant to clean the threads. There you go, and as you can see, it goes on by hand. It's just a little preventative measure, just again to make sure that some little chunk of something isn't gonna mess up our new threads. Alright guys, here's the exact example of why I run the chaser. I think that'll show up in the video. So you can see how messed up this little thread bit is right here. No idea when, where, or how that happened, but that's gonna, you know, definitely booger up the threads we just got done fixing. So we're going to go ahead and actually run a tap down this one and then reinstall everything. Alright, so still the thread itself is a tiny bit messed up, but as you can see, it got rid of that, you know, that chunk that would have kind of messed up the threads. So it's good to go again. So there we go. HeliCoils are done. Really wasn't too bad. The second part of that is the bolt. We found that messed up thread. Now, if you watched our last vlog, there's a scene in there where I checked my brakes right before I went out, and I was able to swap brake pads in, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes. I don't know if like I dropped the bolt and like quickly putting it back on to make it out. You know, I didn't notice that it was feeling a little funny. Then when I took it off to put new pads on before the qualifying race, that's when it kind of wiped the threads. So, you know, there's a good chance it was kind of on me not checking the threads and you know, just being a little bit too hasty with it. But yeah, again, you saw I just torqued them, loosened them up, torqued them, did it a few times actually just to make sure. But yeah, so that resolves that issue. I'm going to make a HeliCoil kit part of my bring to the track, you know, bring to the track hardware tool thing, whatever, because just in case, what if, you know, some other bolt strips out. They make HeliCoils in literally any thread size you need, so I ended up picking up one of those like multi-pack kit things. Brake fluid flush, which I did in the last video. I'm not really going to show you guys that again, and I think that's about it. Yeah, can't think of anything else since the car was good at nationals. You know, just little basic stuff before we head up to the Glen. Alright, here's that HeliCoil kit I was telling you about. You can tell it's kind of one of those, you know, cheapy, made overseas kits, you know, because this whole entire kit was mid-30s or something on Amazon. I'll put a link to this kit in the video description below. This HeliCoil kit alone was $50 something. So this kit with 5, you know, inserts was more than this whole kit. But this whole kit is going to be my keeping the trailer. I'm at the track and I need to make a repair for the weekend kit, and then I would use the better stuff for, you know, once you get home and want to do a proper repair. You can kind of tell it's a little bit cheap just because if we look at the difference in the inserts alone, you can see they're a little bit shorter. They're almost like a smaller diameter. Whoops. So, you know, they're the same thread. Might be a little hard to see on the camera, but they're still the M12 by 1.75. But anyways, yeah, this is just probably something good to have in the trailer after what I learned this weekend. You never know what you might strip out and kind of need to fix at the track. Alright guys, so that's about it for our Watkins Glen prep. Again, not too much. We're putting the ST Aero back on, the bigger wing, bigger splitter. We're going to pull all the lead out of it and just kind of see what we can do. And as always, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.